Sebastien, not only is Zenith surviving, but actually thriving amidst the chaos that is the sport aviation industry. How'd you manage that?
Well, we kind of keep doing what we've always been doing, and we don't do business plans on hype and things like that. Our main thing is to keep building good, fun flying airplanes and to support our customers, and that's really been our focus that my dad had back, starting in the 70s, and then throughout the 80s and 90s, we've stayed on that, and today that's still what we do. Of course, how we do things has changed dramatically over the years with our production equipment and so forth, but the core values of who we are and what we do really hasn't changed, and I think that answers your question that way.
Now, the transition you made to precision machining processes has minimized the need for jigging, has minimized the need for precision tasks by the builder. Has this process really made building that much easier and, more important, more fault tolerant for the first-time builder?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it really revolutionized the way, especially on the metal airplanes. It's been a game changer, I think. Back in the 80s, the metal airplanes were considered spam cans. It was kind of the thing of the past. Composites was the wave of the future for light aircraft construction. And you look at 30 years later, the metal airplanes they're more popular today than they were 30 years ago. And we can attribute that mainly, I think, to CNC manufacturing because it's really made it easier to build. The first-time builder, it used to be you'd spend all your time measuring first and then drilling that first hole. That was the time, that was the hardest part of your entire airplane, and you'd spend a lot of time to do that. Now that it doesn't exist anymore. You don't have to measure those parts. You don't have to drill that first hole. You're getting a kit that is literally thousands of holes in it. Now you're doing more the basic assembly work. You're not laying things out, like you mentioned, the jigging and so forth. And I think the quality of the airplane reflects that in the sense that you're seeing much more consistently well-built airplanes as opposed to before. You had some builders that were really good at measuring, so they would have a nice true airplane. Other folks that were maybe a little bit more sloppy would have a sloppier airplane. Now we're just not seeing those differences, which is, I think, ultimately what we want.
Are more airplanes getting done because of this?
Absolutely. I'd say the vast majority are being completed, not only being completed, but being completed by the original owner and also being completed much quicker. So I think that's definitely a success for the entire industry.
What kind of journey is that right now for the average cruiser or 650 builder? Ultimately, standpoint of overall time, how fast are you seeing these things get built?
Well, and that's the big question everybody has, how many hours and when will I be flying? And that ultimately depends on the individual builder, of course. But overall, we're looking at 300 to 400 hours assembly time on the airframe. Now, that's basically getting those wings completed, the fuselage completed, and everything put together. You've got the engine and avionics, and then paint upholstery, which is additional. And, the old saying, 90% done, 90% to go. Well, sometimes that applies. You've done the airframe and it looks like an airplane, but you're obviously not a finished flying airplane yet. We offer very complete firewall forward packages and, again, very complete avionics packages. And, again, that can really simplify the process a lot. Of course, it's also an area where a lot of builders get outside help. A&P mechanics, they know engine installation, so that's always a good area to get outside help. Same with the instrument panels. Again, you can do a very basic steam gauge or a very sophisticated glass panel display, but nice thing is you can really get a lot of that pre-harnessed, ready to bolt in. So we get a lot of builders, in a year that they can be flying, and it's a realistic number. A lot of it, though, is they have to be able to put the time in. We've seen a lot more of the builder assist facilities come out, and I think that's in response to a need for that. Some folks just don't have the time to fully devote to the project, and so rather than shelving the project while they're focusing on something else in their life, they can bring the project to a builder assist facility, and they can actually keep the project moving and still keeping the original builder involved. And I think that, again, that helps the completion ratio of kits.
The KSN 770 is an affordable, WAS-enabled integrated MFD with a flexible hybrid user interface from Bendix King. Get your fingers on the 770's perfect blend of touchscreen and hard buttons. Easily control your GPS navigation, Navcom, weather, traffic, and terrain in any condition. For more information, go to bendixking.com.
Now certified, Aspen Avionics single-band ADS-B ATX-100 and ATX-100G transceivers are the next-gen ADS-B solution that provides the features pilots need while keeping flyaway costs low. Check it out now at aspenavionics.com.
Overall, aviation and sport aviation has seen better times, yet Zenith survives. Talk about the operation you have here and how you manage to maintain a viable business in an industry that can change like that?
Well, that's a good question, and sometimes I question myself. But, it goes back to, we stay focused on what we do, and we try to do one or two things and do them well. I think a lot of folks in the industry, sometimes they get in this, for the wrong reasons, trying to make money or trying to have too much fun, and then find out that the money's not there or the fun factor is there sometimes, but there's also a lot of hard work in any business. And then they decide to pull out of the industry. And I think the kit industry has always been an industry where you get a lot of new, there are no real barriers to entry in this industry. You don't have to be certified. All you need is a cool looking prototype, and you can literally be a kit manufacturer overnight. So we've always seen quite a few companies come and go because of that, which I also think is one of the strengths of our industry. We do see new products and so forth. We've been doing what we've been doing here for, the past 22 years, and we're 16 folks out here in the shop building the parts and pieces, and we invest a lot in our CNC equipment and a lot in our staff to be able to build better things and to maximize what we do with our CNC equipment, to be able to build a better product and continue to do that.
Overall, how are you seeing the cost for completed kits from the standpoint of engine installation, avionics, getting everything painted up and so forth? What's the range like for each of the current models in your current product line?
At least the newer kits like the CH750 series, the Stoll, as well as the Cruiser and the 650, you're about between $18,000 and $21,000 for the kit, depending on the model, the features, and so forth. Your finished cost, you're pretty much 3 times that is what you should plan for. Now, of course, especially when it comes to engine, there are a lot of variations in engines. You buy a factory new Rotax, UL Power, Jabiru, Continental, you're going to be in the 20s, somewhere in the 20s. Of course, if you buy a used engine or rebuild an engine, auto conversions as well that are still being used by some home builders, that has a potential to keep that number quite a bit lower. And again, same on the panel. If you get a sophisticated panel, you're going to be between $10,000 and $20,000. You can do a basic steam gauge panel for a couple $1,000s. We're seeing customers flying anywhere, I'd say on the low end in the low 40s. Mm-hmm. Typical airplane, we tell folks, expect about $60,000, which again, that's that same ratio, the $20,000 kit. So 3 times that is a realistic number for a finished airplane. And I still think, for a lot of folks, that represents still very good value, because you look at most comparable LSAs, you're going to be starting at about $120,000. So it's about half price if you build it yourself. And then the nice thing, we get a lot of builders that, they get the satisfaction of having built their own airplane, and then the fact they can do all their own maintenance as well, having the repairman certificate right from the beginning. So, years on down, you're saving a lot of money by maintaining your own airplane.
Outstanding. Thanks for joining us on Aero-TV and Aero-News.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Jim.